Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's Mr. Reality, joined by psychic medium Liz Cross, and this is the final push for the live temporal awareness perception and remote viewing course that I'll be doing. The last one this year begins next month. If you're interested, you can go to co-fi or fee.com/reality forecast. Click there, send me a note, and I've got to respond to emails later today. So if you haven't heard back from me, just sit tight. I'll get to you with a phone call. How are you, Liz?
Oh, I'm great. I'm so excited for your course. I know what a fantastic teacher you are. Thank
Thank
you.
you. I appreciate that. This one actually is a request from H.P. Lovecraft, who said he's once one of his favorite writers is Stephen King. So I thought we'd try and follow a trend of asking people that we probed in the afterlife who we should do next. And so here we are with Stephen King, a majorly prolific horror writer. And you've heard of his movies, you've heard of his books, but you don't know. And I think he's coming out with a new Dairy story this week, which is tangentially related to the Pennywise story from what I've been read, but he's still alive. And we did a Mary Shelley last year too, and we talked about the entity of Frankenstein. And so I'm curious where this one will go in regards to someone who's currently alive and like where they get their horror ideas. So can we do a mind probe on Stephen King?
Oh, I'm so happy to do a mind probe on Stephen King.
Well,
Yes,
watch
what
out.
would you
I don't know
like
what
to?
you're gonna find.
Well, it is Halloween. Happy Halloween.
Okay, so first thing, this is a lot of questions in your YouTube. Is there a parallel reality where there's a Stephen King that's not actually Stephen King, or do we only exist in this reality?
Oh, is there a parallel reality where Stephen King does not? No, I mean, he is Stephen King in the 3D here in this timeline now.
Okay. How many incarnations as a human has Mr. Stephen Edwin King had?
Ooh, he's had about 600.
Wow. And
Yeah,
where is
he's
he in
up
the
there.
Ascension ladder?
Where are you in these? He's high fours.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, that's
Yeah,
exciting. Um,
yeah.
how many of those other incarnations were so pivotal to, the culture? I guess maybe that's a soul question, but someone who's, I mean, he's influenced so many people in our reality now. I'm curious if that's a common thread among past incarnations.
Ooh. So can you tell us a bit about your past lives that you've had? Oh, sure. I've got his soul here. He is the horror story. Okay. That is so apparent to me. What do you mean you are the horror story? He's been serial killer in his past lives.
Whoa.
Uh, yeah. Yeah, he is the horror story.
What else?
How many lifetimes have you been in? 4 lifetimes as a serial killer. Are you Jack the Ripper? No. Um, four lifetimes as a serial killer though. He likes death. The soul is fascinated with the death of the body.
Wow.
Yeah. He's also been like a funeral, I guess, director, if you want to call it that, in a past life where he's in charge of burying bodies. He's also been a priest, a couple of priests in his past lives. He's always been the one to, even in tribal lifetimes, to facilitate a passing, meaning like if someone is about to pass in the tribe, they help to cross them over, is what I'm getting. Yeah, he's had a lot of dark, dark lifetimes, which
So
it surrounds death.
is there a way that he's been able to transcend or circumvent the mind wipe because he seems to carry that with him, or is it just something that's like anchored in his soul, that death fascination?
Where is that death fascination? Oh, it's in his soul. Yeah. Were you able to circumvent the mind wipe? No, no. He doesn't even understand where he gets it from. Man, Stephen, I hope you're listening to this.
Yeah, big story there. Salem's Lot. He's written a ton of short stories, a ton of books, a lot of movies out there. Does he? carry any like unresolved attachments in this lifetime?
Loads. Loads, even though he's up quite high in the human lifetime experience and on the ascension ladder. What have you not resolved? He cannot resolve this darkness that is within. And he tries to resolve it by writing these horror stories, but it's still like this turmoil that's going on inside. He can't seem to, he doesn't understand where the darkness comes from. He really doesn't. Well, let me tell you, it is from the soul. And the soul is trying to resolve it. And the soul says, I know, I want to be this like prolific, famous writer in this lifetime. That will cure it all. That will finally get rid of all of this darkness that I'm carrying around, and it hasn't worked.
So will it, or will it compound it?
It hasn't made it worse because obviously he's writing about killing and writing about horror things and torturing and tormenting people. But he definitely hasn't fixed this.
So in 1949, his dad, Donald Pollock, went out for a pack of smokes and never came back. His father has passed away, but I wondered if we could find out why did he do that? Did he see the darkness in his child and just think, I don't want to deal with that? Or what was the reason for his leaving the family?
Ooh. I've got his dad here. Why did you leave? Because he cannot resolve the darkness that is within him either. A lot of this is very intertwined with his son Stephen, because that's where the Stephen as a soul in all these past lives got it from. He said in this lifetime we had to cut the cord, like we had to cut the bond or the the cycle, the soul family, so that he could live and not be a dark, demented physical being in this lifetime that actually carried out acts of horror and terror. This man is not a nice man, okay? He's very abusive. I feel that Stephen King's mother at the time was extremely passive and he was running all over her. And he was actually scared of himself, what he might do to her and the child, or if he stayed and had multiple children. So he chose to leave. Now, that's on an energy level and on a subconscious level. Obviously, he just shirks from his responsibilities on a 3D level and
Hmm.
he left the family home. He had multiple affairs, multiple women in a lot of different places. He is one of those people that you cannot hold accountable, does not like accountability. So, yeah, very dark person.
Did he follow his son, or did he know that he must have known Stephen King was his son and followed him in his lifetime?
Did you know Stephen King? Eventually, he did.
What were his thoughts on that? Did he think, oh, I shouldn't have left, or did he have remorse about it? Did he?
No, he doesn't have any regrets. He was glad to separate himself from Stephen King, so that he could live. Again, it's that same theme. But what did you think, like when you saw your son that was this prolific, like horror writer, this famous man? He was quite proud, but he never told anyone that that was his son.
Wow. All right, well, let's get back to Stephen King. I wanted to find out, is there like a protective spirit that hovers over him when he writes these things so that these entities don't attach to him?
Oh, these are all such good questions. Don't forget, Mr. Reality has a tip jar listed down below. I love your questions today. Perfect for Halloween. Do you have a Someone, no, no, but his grandmother, whom he seemed to be very close with, or certainly is always around him now, um, she tries to protect him as much as possible. Now, this is the mom's mom. The dad's mom didn't know him.
And when we were talking to Lovecraft, he said he was able to see and channel these entities. So are these entities that King creates part of his own mind, or is he envisioning them? Does he see them? Do they talk to him like they did for Lovecraft?
So, how did you come up with these ideas? They were just brewing inside of him. So, where we talked to Lovecraft, and Lovecraft was like, yeah, these entities would visit me during the night.
Yeah.
This stuff is within him. This is coming from the soul that is emanating up through the subconscious. And he doesn't quite understand. He doesn't understand it himself. He doesn't understand really where the ideas come from. They just come from the soul.
Okay, so it's different in that regard. And similar to when we talked to Mary Shelley last year, he's creating like a thought form with all of these entities. And so do they have like a consciousness beyond him writing about them and like more people reading about them, like Pennywise and, his list of characters?
Um, is he create? Well, yeah. I mean, his writing has created a consciousness, and it's so now. Full disclosure, I've never actually read a Stephen King novel. Why? Because I don't need to invite any more darkness into my life, right? I try to keep the dark out. Obviously I'm channeling, and I don't like to channel the dark unless it's we're going to learn something from it. So I don't read his books. But what I am getting is that he or these stories, these characters, they definitely do have a consciousness, and they definitely are thought about, talked about, channeled, as in, the person wants to connect with these things that is so evil unconsciously. Okay, they don't realize that that's what they're doing, and that he has a lot of admirers. Stephen King has a lot of people that want to be just like him.
Yeah, he's had a lot of stalkers too, I think, at his house. So, because it's, in a spooky area of town and we're in a spooky time. So, does he see these images in his dreams or does he meditate on them? Like, how does he get the ideas if they're like within his soul?
How do you get the ideas? Do you see them in your dreams? No. Do you meditate on them? No. No, they're just there. It's like he has this box of material that exists inside of him, and it's just there. It's not hard for him to write. I want you all to know that. He doesn't have any problems. He's not like the struggling writer who doesn't know how he's going to turn this story or these characters into something phenomenal. He doesn't really struggle with that at all. He's just bang. It's like the horse that's gone, the gun's gone off and the horse race begins. Um, he knows exactly where it's going to go subconsciously on a soul level. Now, with his conscious mind, he's not even worried about where it goes. It goes where it goes. So he's not really trying to, he's not one of those organized people that has like, graphs and organized by chapter, like we're going to do this in this chapter, that and that. That's not him at all. He just writes.
Where's the inspiration for Pennywise?
God. What was the inspiration for Pennywise? It was a child who was terrified of a clown. And he said, yeah, why not? Clowns are creepy. Look at them. How can any child, he's laughing. He's like, how can any child think that a clown is funny and that a clown is exciting? It's the biggest creep show in town.
So how does he protect himself from being possessed by the dark when he's writing? Or has he ever been possessed by like dark entities when he's writing?
Hmm. Has he ever been possessed by dark entities? No, he hasn't. How do you protect yourself from the dark? He is the dark. As in, basically, when he's writing, he's channeling the darkness that is within himself. He is the dark.
And so he says that in his conscious mind as he's alive, right? But and for someone to have that many, well, here's a question, and maybe for his soul, has he paid recompense for the four serial killer lifetimes, or is this Stephen King life an attempt to do so?
It's an attempt, but no, he has not paid recompense. He is still in that karmic cyclical debt, and he will have to pay the piper at some point. Now, I don't think he's going to be paying the piper in this lifetime. What is alarming is that budding serial killers look to Stephen King as an idol, and oftentimes they become obsessive with his work and they try to pull off similar things that are in his stories in their own serial killing MO.
So it's still surprising that he's so high then on the ascension ladder with all that darkness within him. Are there people that are able to ascend? For ascension as humans, we think that we have to be pure of heart, be pure of consciousness. Is there a dark path to ascension?
I've never thought of that. Oh my God, what a great question. Is there a dark path to ascension? Oh my God. No, but this is kind of the last bit that he needs to resolve. Like, on the whole, his personality is good. His personality is kind, it's humble, it's gentle. He's pretty much isolated, is what I'm getting. Like, he'll have to socialize when he's expected to, but overall, he's not that interested in people that are outside of his stories, is what I'm getting.
Hmm.
Um, he is a family-oriented person, and the reason being is because of the fact that he was abandoned by his own father, and
Yeah.
that brought about a lot of rejection.
I was wondering about that emotion, what he felt, and if that was inspiration from any of his other stories about that. Because he never made amends or never tried to connect with his dad, but he must have come to grips with that, I guess, in life about. But what does he harbor from that?
Ooh, what do you think about the fact that your dad walked out and never came back? He's a disgusting piece of human being. Like, were your stories based upon a character that, oh, okay. Now, some of his stories, he associated some of the characters that see, he kind of knows on a soul level, like the reason the dad left is because he's this really evil being and he was trying to save me, which is what the dad said. The dad was basically, I don't want to influence darkness on my child. I'm destroying people's lives on this soul level. I've got to go. And instinctively, Stephen King knew that, and he just turned his anger into these stories and would associate some of his characters with his father.
So it's still carrying over quite a bit.
Mm. Can you descend through dark? I'm sorry, ascend through darkness? No, you can't. So, how much? Because this is a big, this isn't just a small little bubble of darkness, right? Within the soul.
Hmm.
This is a very large, those big things that the kids wave around and they make those large bubbles.
Like
It's
what
like this
percentage?
large, right, right. It's like this large bubble of darkness. So,
What percentage of his soul then is encompassed by this dark?
what percentage of your soul? 50%.
So it's a right on the teeter, right on the balance. Does each character that he writes about, like, are they then created as a thought form? And are they given more energy each time we read about it? Not just the evil characters, but all of the characters? Like, how do they live on and how do they evolve?
Do every time we read it, do we give more energy? Yeah, because his, and we also, okay, got it. You know, on a soul level, his writing is highly emotional. It brings out so many emotions from us, from within us, and we express these emotions, albeit maybe quietly if we're reading the book or listening to the audiobook, but it doesn't matter. If you think about the millions and billions of people that have engaged either with his movies or his writing, every time you're expressing those emotions throughout the story, you're feeding the universal consciousness, right? And that's part of the soul contract with the universe. Hey, how do I extract as many emotions as I possibly can from a large portion of the public in order to feed the universal consciousness? Well, I know it's like a two-pronged attack. One, it helps the universal consciousness, and two, maybe I'll resolve all of this darkness within me in order to be free. And the soul is actually saying that it believes that if it could accomplish this in this lifetime, it would not have to come back down here again on the earth plane.
I wondered if we could maybe talk to, I've never tried this, but I thought it would be interesting. Is there a way that you could channel Pennywise
Oh my God.
as a
Creep.
thought form and just find out what it thinks? If it has a consciousness, and I know, watch out.
Let me surround myself in white light before I do.
Let me know what flies
Okay.
across the room.
Is that the thing that's in the drain?
I don't think so. No, I think that
Oh,
it might be. Yes, I think it is. You're right.
oh my God. Okay. What would you like to know?
What does it feel? What is its emotion? What is its ability to like think and interact
What
as a
so
thought
it
form?
really, sorry, it really doesn't have any emotions as the consciousness of Pennywise.
Okay.
Other than it gets great pleasure out of terrorizing and scaring people, that's where it gets its kicks, that's where it gets its high. But as far as like those positive white light emotions of joy, love, empathy, trust, sympathy, none of that. That's not present within this character, within this consciousness.
Okay, so that the fear, the terror that goes into it, is that used by the dark?
Mm. Yes, it does feed the dark. Yes.
So in a sense, Stephen King is still giving power to the dark by generating these, enigmatic cult personalities of darkness.
Well, yeah, he's feeding both light and dark. So by getting the emotions into the universal consciousness, he's feeding the light. Wow, you are so smart. And then by, these characters, which he doesn't know that, right? Now, on a soul level, he does, but certainly not with his conscious mind or his subconscious. Feeding these characters, retaining a consciousness, an energetic consciousness, and feeding the dark. But he's feeding more light than dark. I will tell you that.
Okay, well that's good, I guess. We can hope. Um, Another one I wanted to try is the Children of the Corn. Are these entities, or what was the origin for that, I guess, from Stephen King's mind?
The
And is it like any
origin.
ancestral, lifetime that he had of like,
Mm, did you have any for the children of the corn? Did you have any ancestral? So, on a soul level, he was one of those kids in the cornfield.
and when
Um,
was this, and what happened to that kid? And is this a chance to heal from it by writing about it?
um, when was this? This is about 300 years ago. Um, and what what would do you have to say? What happened to the kid in that lifetime? That kid was killed in that lifetime.
Yeah, it was sacrificial. So was there like a dark cult that was around there that he was a victim of?
Is there a dark cult that was around there? No. Uh, he was killed by his father in that lifetime. His father strangled him to death in the cornfield.
Same father, Derek Pollock, or Donald Pollock, or a different father?
Is it the same? Same father.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah. So his dad had killed him in that lifetime.
How does he feel about his need to, like, when does he know it's time to write a new book? Does he have like longings of darkness in him and he's like, "Oh, I got to get this out for Stephen King's now soul."
So when he's always got books on the go, he is not short of ideas. He doesn't even care about the money. Okay, he doesn't care if it's successful or not at this point. He really doesn't even care.
Yeah,
All
he's
he
worth half a
cares
billion
about.
dollars and he's almost 80, so
So yeah, exactly. He's like, I'm writing for me at this point. He's not even, were you always writing for you? Not always. But certainly as he started to catch on, he started to be a name for himself. He says, and then it was just, I'm writing for me. Like I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. He didn't care whether he was ever famous or not. To be honest with you, he was just going to write. The fact that he did become famous and is admired and so read throughout the world, that's just a byproduct. He was going to write whether we, the audience, caught on to it or not. He just could not stop writing.
is he a psychic or medium in this lifetime?
Ooh, no.
So it's all coming out of him. That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm still curious about, his characters and if he thinks about them once he's written about them, or is it, all right, that's done, move on to the next.
Oh, do
Like
you
what
still
haunts
think?
Stephen King's dreams is where I'm going for this.
Ooh, do you still think about? No, he puts them to bed. He basically, that's it. And then he's on to the next character. Does anything haunt you? Hmm.
Does
He's
he
saying
Go ahead.
hold on, I'm sorry, does anything haunt you? Now, He's saying the death of his mother. I don't know if his mother has passed. At this point, has your mother passed
He's
on? But
80,
he's
probably.
saying the death of his mother is what haunts him. Um, let's ask him why. Why? Why? Because of all the deaths he writes about, of all the deaths he's fascinated with, when you see someone suffering in pain and there's nothing you can do to help them and you don't want them to die, now that torments him. Well, so your mom's passed? Yes, yes. And he's never felt as lonely as he ever has in his life when his mother passed. Like that created a new found loneliness. And that also fueled a lot of his writings, he says. I feel it was quite long ago. Let me bring his mother forward, if you don't mind.
Sure. How you doing, Mrs. King?
Yeah. What do you think about Stephen King, your son? Oh, she's just like, I'm so proud of him. He is the most wonderful person. I don't even know where these stories come from because he's such a nice, gentle person. Okay. What do you think about the fact that the only thing that really haunts him is your death? She's always known that. He talks to her most days, whether in his mind or in his heart or verbally. And on a soul level, he wants to reunite with his mother.
I don't know if I don't think that's her. Is that her? No, probably not. And he will probably eventually. He'll pass away.
Yes,
What?
they are definitely soul family. I think they're done with the dad. I don't think they want to make any more contracts with this father.
Yeah, that's interesting because you say that they kind of just all think they're lovey-dovey on the other side. So, what's Nellie Ruth King's interaction now with Donald Edwin King Pollock
They
on the
do
other
not
side?
speak.
Okay. Another question I had, all these sort of fantasy realms that Stephen King writes about, do they become real on like the astral plane or somewhere in the ether because so many people
Mm.
are reading about them and it's sort of etched into our consciousness of humanity?
Like, does the fantasy become real in another dimension or
Yeah,
another
I guess,
plane?
right. I don't know, astral or, somewhere, but is that thought form of the place real somewhere?
That is an excellent question. No, no, because it doesn't have a soul as part of its essence, therefore it cannot manifest itself into physical form.
Well, what about then the physicality of Maine, where he lives? Has that and those ghosts and those hauntings and the witchcraft trials, has that influenced his psyche while he's been on the Earth plane? Like,
Mm. As the main influencers. Oh, yes, like it's very witchy, he says. No, I've never been to Maine, but I would love to go. He says it's very witchy and there's a lot of energy there. He actually aligns very well to that energy.
has he been to, did he practice any witchcraft?
Ooh, do you practice any? No, he's scared of it. That's funny.
What does Stephen King, the incarnation now, think about the jinn?
What do you mean?
The jinn are like trickster spirits, which are in lots of cultures that are able to grant wishes? And has he ever dabbled in like, I'm trying to find out in a coy way of asking if he's ever made any deals with the devil or with jinn to make
Mm.
himself famous.
Ooh, has he ever made any deals with the devil? No. Has he ever made any deals with any like genies or tricksters or jinns like that? No, no. Mm.
What does he wish the legacy of Stephen King to be once he's crossed over? And does he think about that a lot in his old age?
Ooh, do you think about what the legacy of Stephen King will be and when you cross over? Oh yeah, he thinks about it a lot. He thinks about his own death a lot. Now, he does not have a problem with assisted, how do I say it? Taking your own exit off of the earth plane if things get too bad, if you know what I mean, like the
Hmm.
Dignitas Clinic in Europe. He
Okay.
does not have a problem with that at all. He doesn't want to suffer like some of the characters in his story. He doesn't want that. He wants a very peaceful death, and he's actually scared of not having a peaceful death.
Does Source have a problem with that?
Ooh, do you have a problem with souls and the conscious mind choosing to use assisted services? Yes.
Hmm. What does Source feel about um, cremation versus ground burial?
Ooh, is there any difference between how do you feel about cremation and ground burial? No. Apart from the fact source is saying cremation is obviously a lot more cleaner. The body is nothing. It's the
Oh,
soul that's everything.
okay. Um, is there like any other entities which have influenced him to write across all of his writings, or it all comes from him?
Are there any? Well, yes, I mean, children influence his writings, like, because they're the most curious, they're the most fascinated, they're the most, believable, as in, they're the ones that will believe the phenomena, the magic, the spook factor.
Hmm.
Adults are too hardened, so he does look to children for inspiration.
Has he ever like done a meditation or done like cleansing rituals after writing about one of the things that were particularly upsetting?
Did they ever does writing bring out dark emotions within yourself? Yes, it does. And did you ever disturb yourself sometimes where things were so gruesome and so traumatic and so horrifying? Oh, many times. Many times. He enjoys that. He says that's how you know you're alive. You are this living being experiencing emotions here on the earth plane. It's what makes you feel alive. It's what gives you adrenaline. And so did you ever experience like depression from your stories? Yeah. But he writes another story to pull himself out.
Hmm. Was there a pet that inspired Pet Cemetery in his youth?
No.
What is the what are the soul connections that King is making with readers and viewers of his work?
So I'm sorry,
What
run
are
that by me
what are the soul
again.
contracts that he's making with people that read his books? And that's on all aspects that, the
Hmm.
common readers and also the inspirational murderer people that are reading it for ideas. Like, what is that doing to his soul by creating how many, billions and billions of soul contracts in this incarnation?
But the contracts are more with the universal consciousness instead of the individual. I mean, yes, he does have contracts with the individual, but on a soul level, it's more the universal consciousness. How much can he extract from each living soul that is present on the earth plane, reading his books? It really is about feeding the machine.
How many different types of contracts are there? I guess a source question.
Millions and billions.
And how do you keep track of all those?
Well, the machine does because it's all rooted in mathematical calculations.
Who made that machine?
Source.
Is it a physical, tangible thing, or is it an astral thing, or another word we don't have?
It's it's a consciousness. It's a universal consciousness of all knowing and self-preservation. Mathematical, it's based upon mathematics. I mean, physics, deep-rooted mathematical equations that we don't have the brain capacity to solve.
Is it separate and apart from source, or is it the same thing?
No, it's separate. Source sits sort of atop of this thing, and this is the machine is the creation.
We'll have to get more into that another time. For Stephen King, how does he celebrate Halloween?
How do you celebrate? How he dresses up? Do you dress up as one of your characters? No. He actually doesn't like to dress up as anything scary, I don't feel. Certainly not anymore.
Well, how does he feel about this Halloween season?
How do you feel about this? Oh, he loves it, like every Halloween season.
Well, Stephen King, everybody out there listening, thank you so much. Liz, thank you for bringing all those energies through and the consciousness and the mind probe. And it's been an awesome Halloween season. I wish each one of you out there a very, very happy Halloween. Be safe, be happy, be joyful. And Liz, I really appreciate you and all the people out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And trick or treat. I mean, come on. This was phenomenal.
Thank
Gosh,
you very
I
much.
my mind is blown completely over these questions. So please be generous, dig deep, let Mr. Reality buy a little candy bar too for Halloween. He does have a tip jar listed down below. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye, everybody.